what I'm noticing is, like at the beginning of all these trails, they packed in some granulated granite or rock into the path, but then it just changes to the natural dirt after some feet into the trail. All right, let's hit Pali, guys. Pali Trail, blue rated. As I get lower in elevation, of course, it's a lot wetter. And of course, the slushy snow is melting. Oh wow, this section's super wet. Let me try and ride on the side through the jank. Oh, that's nice. Tree down. How should we go up? Let's try and get through here. Watch out for the shrubbery. Yep. Good to go. Shrubbery. This is fun. Bit of exposure on the right. Always gets the blood pumping. This is very cool. Gotta love trail exposure. Oh, a little drop. Oh, nice. Oh. Hit the front brake and my front wheel kind of melted into the mush. Super muddy. All right, let's just go a little slow. Ooh, pedal strike. Well, despite the mud on Pali, this is my favorite trail so far. Not just because of the steep sections, but it just has the nicest flow. I hope Hood River Post Canyon is a little less mushy tomorrow. Even if it's a little more cold there, that's fine. As long as the ground is a bit more firm, or snowy even, icy. Oh my God. Trying to stay out of the mush. Impossible.
I saw this warning out of the corner of my eye, but instead of dismounting immediately, I decided to continue riding, which was a huge mistake. I tried to push the bike here, and I could not even push the bike. The mud was so packed into the front and rear tires. I got out my phone here to check trail forks to see how far away I was from the car. I wasn't in panic mode quite yet. I was about a mile away from the car still. I couldn't roll the bike with the mud caked on the tires and frame, so I tried to lift it, and that's when I began to realize the full scope of the predicament I was in. I'm not exaggerating. The 55-pound Decoy now weighed closer to 80 pounds, with all the caked-on mud front to rear. And if I couldn't roll it back to the car in its current state, I had to somehow clean off the mud and get it rolling again. There was at least a mile of muddy, meandering uphill trail between me and the car, with a daunting, steep hillside full of brush and deadfall debris between each trail switchback, and I was already exhausted and late to return back to my hotel to check out. I knew if I tried to roll the bike, the viscous clay-like mud remaining on the tires would continue to pick up dried grass and debris along the trail, like a snowball increasing exponentially as it rolled. So I picked up a sharp stone half buried in the trail and tried my best to start clearing away the thick, wet mud from the bike, soon realizing with a growing sense of dread how long it was going to take me to get the Decoy mobile again, and how difficult it would be to somehow clear out the clay from between the tire treads. I was now starting to panic. I had never before encountered this much mud or this type of thick clay in all my years of riding, and I was beginning to feel trapped on the mountainside. I had to act fast to get back in time to check out of the hotel. You can see in this close-up shot of the front tire the full extent of the clay enveloping it. It was overwhelming, and I was becoming frantic, barely making a dent with the rock. The mud was so thick and sticky that it wouldn't even fall off when violently shaking the stone, so I had to start using my fingers to clear it from the rock. I also started using my fingers to clear the mud from around the fork stanchions and front fender. I knew that mud and debris had built up under the fender and was keeping the front wheel from spinning, so I was beginning to consider removing the fender, but all I had was my pocket knife, and I was scared to accidentally scratch the fork lowers while attempting to break the zip ties. I barely made any progress with the mud removal and tried again in vain to roll the bike forward. I was really becoming worried at this point that I was truly immobilized on the mountain, at least a mile from the car, and the clock was ticking. Thinking I couldn't clean off the mud in time to roll the bike back to the car, I tried to lift the bike, first with the intention of carrying it above my right shoulder, but I quickly realized it was simply too heavy and I was too exhausted to carry it above my head. Realizing how difficult it would be to carry the bike uphill, I started getting more panicked, frantically clawing and wiping the mud away with my fingers, quickly covering my gloves in muck and making a horrible mess. It was at this point that I realized the futility of removing the mud, and that rolling the bike back to the car was going to be impossible, and that I needed to draw upon my energy reserves activated by my survival instincts. So I picked the bike up and cradled it in my arms and decided to head straight uphill towards the car, through the bush and deadfall littering the mountainside, to get back to the safety of the car and make my way back to the hotel as soon as possible. I couldn't carry the bike but a few feet at a time uphill before having to stop to catch my breath. After removing my mud-soaked gloves, I continued hiking with my bike cradled in my arms like an obese, excrement-covered baby, uphill through poison oak and scrub brush, lifting my tired legs over rotting logs and deadfall, stopping every 50 feet to catch my breath and orienting myself using trail forks. Finally, after bushwhacking for about a half mile up the mountainside, I spied the roofs of cars in the parking lot, and for the first time since being brought to a halt on the trail by the intense mud, a sense of relief flooded through me, and my nerves finally started to calm, knowing I would soon be reunited with my family at the hotel and making my way to the next thrilling PNW mountain bike adventure. This nerve-wracking episode taught me an important lesson, though: to be more aware of the trail conditions and the environments I'm riding in, to respect warnings on trail signage, and to be more mentally and physically prepared for hazardous scenarios while reconning, which could potentially leave me stranded with a heavyweight immobilized EMTB, far from civilization or help. Ultimately, though, this is why I recon, for the thrill of exciting new riding experiences in beautiful, challenging, and potentially dangerous locations, to use my strength, endurance, ingenuity, and riding skill to make it back safely to the trailhead to live to ride another day. Thanks for joining me. See you soon on the next Shred Quest. Peace out.